Well, hello there. Isn't it glorious? It's a Wednesday lunchtime, and I've just come out with a can of fizzy pop. I don't often have cans of fizzy pop, but it will certainly fill the spot. Very thirsty today. Been watching the robin in the garden today, actually. Just, you can't see it, but just over the other side is a trough that I was keeping my Venus flytraps in, and it was full of water, and it was having a bath in there. It's quite funny, really. And of course, Sarah puts out a few little bits of seed every now and again, just to keep them happy, as it were. Anyway, so I've got a couple of stories today. One of them is quite interesting, and the other one is a bit peculiar. So I think we'll start with the peculiar first. Anyway, I took Sarah out to a shopping centre. It was actually the York shopping outlet thing that they have in York. It wasn't that far away. And anyway, we decided that we were going to go upstairs to have a bite to eat. Anyway, we were sat down having, we had a burger and some chips. Yeah, I know. Cooked in peanut oil. Yeah, you guessed it. It was a Five Guys burger place. Expensive, but it was quite tasty, must admit. It was a nice burger. Anyway, as we were sat down there chomping away on our burger, Sarah noticed a little girl having difficulty with the escalators. This will become relevant later on. And she almost fell backwards into her dad, who then had difficulty keeping upright as well. So anyway, we didn't think anything of it until we come to leave. We had to leave by the same escalator because there's two up and two down. Anyway, one of them wasn't working, so the down escalator wasn't working. So we had to go and use the same one that these people had issues with earlier. Now, I've never ever had an issue with an escalator. You just look down, watch for the next one coming, and step on it, and away you go. Not this time. There was a green flashing light that was flashing at me, and I didn't know whether the escalators were coming or going. I almost fell there as well. So when I got to the bottom, I was quite shaken and thinking. I said to Sarah, I don't know what kind of issues I was having there on top of the escalators, but I almost fell. And she said, "Yes, remember I said about the little girl who slipped? Well, that was in the same place. There was what was actually shining up underneath the escalator along the side. There's a thin gap. There was a green light that was flashing. I don't know whether it was flashing in time with the escalators as they were going down or not, but it was a green flashing light that rather confused me. It made me think that maybe the escalators were running backwards all of a sudden. Oh, real confusing. And I still feel a little bit shaken. But I do feel better now, having Sarah said that this girl had had trouble before. This young girl, maybe could have been about 10, I suppose, had issues with the escalator, and she said that's probably what she suffered from as well, with this green flashing light giving you, something going on in your eyeball. Anyway, got down to the bottom, everything's been all right. Yes, I do have issues with balance, but it's normally when I've got my eyes shut and I'm in the shower. That's why I tend to keep an elbow on one wall or hand or gripping on something, just to reassure me that I'm still upright, if you know what I mean. If I can still feel my elbow on the wall, I know I'm upright. But yeah, it's only when and also if I suddenly look up at something, say a bird or whatever, something flies over, I do feel a little bit giddy when that happens. So I have to be a little bit careful now. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing as well. The other bit of interesting news. Now, this is going to cause a lot of confusion when it's introduced, and that is the Humber Bridge is changing the way it charges people. It's no longer taking cash. Yeah, I know all those people that used to work in the toll booths on the Humber Bridge will now be out of a job. So that'll be exciting, won't it, for those poor individuals? Yeah, it's not very pleasant, is it? Not in the Starmer climate that we're in. Yeah, apparently you have to pay for your travel across the bridge. You've got until midnight the day after. Say you travelled on a Monday, you've got until midnight on Tuesday in which to pay your toll. Now, I can imagine that there's going to be dozens and dozens of people on the first day that they introduce it that they won't know that they've changed, because I didn't know about it. It was only because my wife, she's a subscriber to one of the whole newspapers online edition, and she suddenly said, "Yeah, the Humber Bridge toll is changing." Now you can imagine how many people don't have access to the internet, especially the older generation, who just won't be savvy enough to buy their ticket online. They reckon there is concessions. If you buy in advance, you get concessions, and tickets are valid for a year before travel. So it's something that, yeah, I was quite happy with the toll. I was quite happy with the cash, actually, because you just used to throw the cash in the machine and it would count it for you, and away you went. If you wanted a receipt, you had to ask for it, but otherwise, now, when the last time I went over, which was a couple of weeks ago now, you just swipe your card across the card reader and you just say to the guy behind the till, "Can I have a receipt, please?" And they just print it out. Now, I don't know how that's going to happen. I suppose you'll have your online receipt to prove that you paid for your travel across the bridge. But yeah, it's just going to cause loads of confusion, because, you know, whenever I go across, there's absolutely hundreds of people in the booths paying for their ticket off their credit cards. I don't really think. I think getting rid of cash is discrimination. If, for example, I went through the Humber Bridge and I was blind, not that I would be driving, of course, but say I was paying the toll and I was blind, and they said, "No, you're blind, we can't take cash off you, mate. It's credit card only." Well, that might be a bit discriminatory. As they say, "Oh, if you're a disabled driver going across, no, sorry, mate, I can't take cash. It's got to be credit card off you." Right, sorry. Anybody else can pay cash, but not you, because you're disabled. Yeah, I do think that is discriminatory, especially when the train as well. The train has now changed its tune as well. On the train, you used to only be able to use your credit card to buy a snack on the train. But what about all the other people that travel by train who don't have access to credit cards? Some people still don't now. Even I know people have been paying with their cards for years, but a lot of people don't still. I know my father-in-law and their mother-in-law, they do have a payment card, but they prefer cash, just so that they can keep track of everything. You know, being pensioners on a limited income, they want to keep cash in their pockets so that they know that they don't want to go overdrawn, they don't want to go into debt. Some people are like that. Some people aren't like that, I know. So it's just a method of driving you into debt, really, I suppose. But yeah, that's it. That's the Humber Bridge. Toll is changing, and they haven't really made an announcement. I don't watch the news. I don't watch television. I don't really listen to the local radio. So how would I know that was going to happen? So if I was travelling, say, somewhere, I know I travel to work and have to go through the Humber Bridge. But what would have happened if I'd gone straight on a ship and then gone overseas? I would be faced with having to pay a non-payment fee, which is £25, on top of the toll fee, which was £2. So they ramped it up from £2 to £27 for something that you used to just be able to swipe a card and have done with it. Yeah, this isn't progress. And of course, with the introduction of 15-minute cities, which they're doing in Oxford, there's loads of stories about it. Have a look online. Have a look. There's quite a few people doing little rants about these 15-minute cities. Now, I wouldn't be able to travel to the Humber Bridge anyway, because that would be outside my 15-minute city, as it were. Well, the idea of 15-minute city is that you can go anywhere you need to go within 15 minutes of walking. Now, if I was to have to go to my doctor's, the days aren't long enough at the moment. In January, the days aren't long enough for me to walk to the doctor's and then walk back again. Now, what happens if you need treatment? You know, bit of a dressing changed here or there, and you've got to walk all the way to your doctor's, or well, there's no dentist near me anyway. So yeah, imagine that, having to walk if you've got an injury on your toe and you've got to walk miles just to get a bit of treatment and then walk back again. Yeah, it doesn't bear thinking about. And of course, how are district nurses going to get about within their 15-minute city if they're not allowed in and out without getting fines? Yeah, I know Oxford are planning on giving you a voucher to go outside your 15-minute city for 100 times a year. And then you can buy another one to go outside your 15-minute city for 25 times a year. So it's 125 days a year you'll be allowed outside of your home. Yes, you can leave your front door in the knowledge that you're not going to be punished. Yeah, of course, if you go outside your home on the 126th day, you'll be fined and thrown in prison, and the key will be thrown away, and you'll be treated like a criminal for the rest of your life just because you decided to travel a bit. I don't agree with what's happening. I did a video the other day where I said that I'm not convinced with this government. I'm not convinced at all. And the number of U-turns that they've done now, we're coming up to 4 weeks into the year, and how many U-turns have they done? Is it getting on for 20? About 5 a week U-turns. I don't know how Starmer can live with himself by bringing about all these policies that he knew nobody voted for. The Chagos Islands, that wasn't voted for. That wasn't a mandated thing in part of his election mandate. Chagos Islands. Getting involved with Greenland, that wasn't part of his mandate. Nor was getting involved with Ukraine either. That wasn't anything that's part of his mandate. And then we've got digital ID card. That's been cancelled. But it hasn't been cancelled. It's just been downgraded a little bit, because he'll make life so much more difficult unless you get a digital ID card in which you can prove that you are you, like you did yesterday. But today you need a digital ID card to prove who you were today, but yesterday was fine. Yeah, it's not about immigration, it's about control, isn't it? Everything that the government's doing is about control. Ed Miliband, no, he's getting on for a proper, he needs a good smacking, he does. You know, proper pull his pants down over my knee and give him a good whopping. Yeah. That's not right what he's doing to the country. He wants to spend £4.5 trillion in the next 25 years for green incentives. It's the numbers that this man's talking about are absolutely staggering. And Rachel Reeves with the budget. Did you hear that we're going into debt by £500 million a day? That's right. So in my tiny little blog here that's going for about 15 minutes, we would have gone into debt by several hundred millions by now. It's it beggars belief. Going into debt by £500 million a day means that we cannot afford the interest payments on the debt that we already have. So we're borrowing more money in which to pay the interest. This government is destroying this country, and they will bankrupt us. If we're not bankrupt by the middle of the year, then I don't know when we will. It's just beggars belief what they're getting away with. Just crazy. Anyway, I've rambled on for 15 and a half minutes. And as always, I won't put in the mid-term adverts. So happy Wednesday, everybody, and don't get too depressed because it won't be for long. I'm pretty sure that Starmer's going to be booted out of office pretty soon, and as we're finding out, every single by-election that we're managing to have, not the 29 that have been cancelled already since they've taken over, but every single by-election that's happening at the moment is really a referendum on Starmer, because we know that almost every single by-election is won by reform. Anyway, so I'll catch you all on the next one, and I hope I haven't been too much of a ranty rant today. See you then. Bye then.